Welcome to Chromebook Tips and Tricks. I'm Rebecca Rosecrans from TCCSA. A lot of credit is actually due to Peter Horner, who created this presentation, and I used it as the foundation for this class. I have ideas I want to share with you that will make working with students or working on your own Chromebook much more efficient. So let's get started. You might ask yourself in the first place, why are we even having Chromebooks? But, there's a lot of good reasons. The price is right. They're very affordable. And the features of their battery alone or their logging in is very time efficient, meaning I can log in less than 10 seconds. The domain for our school is auto completed, hopefully at the end. And if that's really long, that will save your students a lot of time. Battery life, charge it up at home the night before. There's no reason the students should have to be plugging in throughout the day. You get an entire school day out of your battery life, 8 or 10 hours. And the updates. Chromebook updates themselves, as long as you're fully shutting down the Chromebook. When it restarts the next time, it'll go out to mothership and it's going to look to see if there's any updates. The only reason it might not be up to date would be your tech administrator is limiting to a certain version to be sure it's compatible with state testing. Well, let's talk about your version of Chrome operating system. How do you know if it needs an update? Well, one way is to do something like this. Go right down here to this bottom right corner. We'll talk about what that is in a minute. And click on it. Click again on this gear for settings. And to the left sidebar, it'll say About Chrome OS. And here is where you can find out the version of Chrome you are running. If this is a school managed device and you are able to check for the Chrome updates, click there and it'll go out and get the latest update. Or it might say that your Chromebook is up to date if you have the latest version. So that's how you can find out what version you're running and how to update. There are keys missing from your Chromebook, believe it or not. That seems kind of strange, right? But here we go. Let's find out what keys are missing. Well, we could be missing those F row keys across the top. Not many people use them, but on a Mac or PC, they are all F1 through F12. And we would see maybe a print screen button that's not there. And they've replaced them with shortcuts. They're great for navigating your browser back and forward, to refreshing a page, and opening multiple windows. If a student is being a funny one and they want to darken down their Chromebook screen, they might use that, make it really dark so other students can't see when they get that device. I'm using it, but you're not going to see it actually in effect on this recording. And there is also a nice convenient lock key on there too, up on certain models, but your volume can be controlled there very easily. The tab key, the delete key, sorry, not tab, but cap locks, and the delete key, they are not on Chromebooks. And if you didn't notice, the letters are lowercase, they're not uppercase. So there are a lot of differences, but not too many to confuse you. So where the cap locks would be is this nice handy little button. It's the search. Looks like a magnifying glass or a spyglass. And when you use this, what it does is pops up this launcher from the bottom. And when I click this arrow, it will reveal even more. But just tapping that key will make that all disappear and reappear very easily. I don't have to open the Chrome browser. I could just start my searching right there from that launcher box that appeared. It will not only search the web, it will also search my Google Drive and any files that are on this Chromebook. Very handy. Let's move forward to the touchpad. Pretty simple to use. Some folks, though, have misconceptions thinking it works like the traditional PC left bottom will have like a left click, and then maybe the right bottom will have a right click, and it doesn't work that way. It's like a MacBook or a Mac where it's going to just be like a door hinge. The whole bottom edge actually moves down. The top edge is more stationary. Doesn't matter if you're in the left corner or the right corner, and here is why. If I go here to this Chromebook simulator website, I can show you without actually having to have a camera on my touchpad. This simulator will let you do all kinds of things. So if I'm exploring the Chromebook and I want to use the touchpad, I could help my students running through this neat little simulator. How do you move the pointer? You move your finger across the touchpad very lightly. They would know that. How do you drag and drop? Well, how one finger would be the click, and you can hold that item, and then you slide or swipe. Again, something they likely know. And of course, they're going to know how to click. You can tap lightly, or you can press hard enough to actually hear a click sound. But these are the ones they probably don't know. How do you? Right click. And that's a 2-finger press or tap. How do you scroll? Some folks think they have to go way over to the right and they have to just get on that little edge. Nope. You can use 2 fingers to scroll very easily. 2 fingers will also let you move between pages. So if I was on a different page, then it's going to let me navigate back to the page I was just looking at. Probably not the best time to take advantage of that. Let me forward again to the screen where we just left off. Also, open all your windows. Did you know you could use 3 fingers on your touchpad? Maybe students do. And whenever you walk by, they have quickly hidden the other windows that they had open. For example, I'm going to pull one of these windows apart, and with a 3-finger swipe, I'm able to reveal I actually have 2 windows open. So they quickly jump between these 2 windows without you being any wiser. You glance at their tabs and think, great, they look good. They're on the right track. They're on task. But in truth, there's a whole other window that's hiding. With a 3-finger swipe, you can quickly see that window. How do you open a link in a new tab? Probably not used as often, but that is a 3-finger gesture. Switching between tabs, 3 fingers. Now this one is kind of neat. I have 4 tabs. 1 is pinned, but if I want to quickly swipe between them, I can go with 3 fingers in contact with the touchpad. Very slight, very little movement needed, and it's easy to do. Closing a tab, and again, probably less popular, 3 fingers to tap, and now we're done with this simulator for the touchpad. What else about our Chromebooks would we like to know? Well, what if we look at the launcher here? So the launcher is that little circle in the lower left, and this is how we access our apps. We can navigate like by actually moving our arrow down there, or we could just hit our search button to reveal the launcher. Some of our common shortcuts will appear here, and I can reveal to display all of the applications that I have. And I can use a 2-finger swipe. These 2 little dots here are showing that there is more than one page of applications. Now, you notice right here, this last section, and I'll even make sure, all right, don't see anything related to progress book or my grade book. So what I'd like to show you here in a moment is how we can do something with the next item. And the next item is called the shelf. So the shelf is where you can see which applications are open. The underline is just showing to me that these 2 pages, Google Drive and the Chrome browser in general, is open. And then one of these does not have an underline, and it's always going to stay there. And that's because it's been pinned to the shelf. and that's Google Classroom. Well, you can do that with an application out of this group, or you could do it even with a web page that you visit frequently. Your tech administrator might be sending some of these out automatically for you. There might be a wonderful collection already displayed. But if not, and you want something, you can easily go get a website open. And I'm going to do this with Progress Book. Students are always accessing grades, or maybe you have something displayed there. You need them to check if you're using their online tool. And when I go to the Progress Book Suite, maybe it's even for me. It's my Chromebook, and I want to be able to take attendance and check grades very easily. One way to do this is to go to these three dots at the top right, click More Tools, and move over to Create Shortcut. And the title, I'm not real fond of that. I'll title this Grades. Now, I don't know where it went. To be continued. I'll stay here for a moment to show you, you could come up here and create a bookmark and add the bookmark and the same thing, grades, and I'll call this one number 2. So you realize this is going to be going on my bookmarks bar. All right, and that one I found really easily, but where did the first one go? The first one actually went down here in the launcher. Remember, I had looked a moment ago. There was nothing there, related to Progress Book, but now there is. That's where those shortcuts will go, into your launcher. Not a great shortcut because I still have to dig into the launcher. So I'm going to use a 2-finger tap to get my right click, and I'm going to choose Pin to Shelf. Now I'm happy. I've got a certain website that I frequent often, and I have access to it very easily on the shelf. Any one of these other applications can also be pinned. I can right-click on Google Drive, and let me see. That one is already down there. That's why I'm not able to make that choice right now. Oh, how about this guy? Files. We'll be talking about that soon. I'll pin that to the shelf to make it convenient for me as well. Back to this bookmark. That was okay, but without the browser open, I'd always have to open the Chrome browser, then click my bookmark, which is an extra step. Having it down here, that is much more convenient, and it actually launches the browser for me. So pinning tabs, sorry, not pinning tabs, but making shortcuts, that is going to help you be more efficient and save time navigating. The systems tray, that's at the bottom right corner. That's going to have your time and battery and Wi-Fi, and we'll see all the details there. And when I click on it, you're going to see some tools, and I'd like you to look for one called accessibility. If it is not there, it means that you'll need to go turn it on. This particular Chromebook, the district administrator is pushing it out, so it's already available. You can click on the gear and even type the word access. It'll autocomplete and try to finish it for me. Yep, accessibility, that's the word I was typing. And you can toggle this on or off. Now I know you're going to say, well, wait, Rebecca, yours was there because you left it on. No, I happen to know that this district is pushing this out to all their Chromebooks, which is fine. You might say, well, why is that fine? What's in there? Accessibility isn't only for students with special needs, though they have many in here that are for visually impaired students. They could be used by everyone, and they're built right in. All you have to do is decide which ones you want to turn on. I'm going to turn on dictation so I can practice that. There's also high contrast mode. And you might glance at your child's, your student's Chromebook and say, yikes, that's hard for me to look at. What did you do? It's really just them taking advantage of one of these visual accessibility features. As long as they're able to function, it might actually be helping them out. And I often see students with the large mouse cursor. He's a big one. So that's where they're getting them from, and you're able to help them find them now that you know about accessibility. Two that are on dictation and select to speak. Let me show them to you. I have a document already open, and I am going to show you that this isn't the best tool. There are others that will read the screen, but this is just a start at one of your options. Down here, the speaker icon has a slash through it, so that tells me it's not active yet. I'll click it, and it's now a square with an arrow. I'm going to select some text, and no matter how much I select, we'll see what we get.
Have you ever noticed when you step into an elevator that next to the buttons showing the floor numbers, there are small plates with a series of raised dots and bumps? Did you ever wonder what those bumps and dots mean and why they are there? When you run your fingers over those plates, you feel the ridges.
I feel that this particular document and that select to speak really illustrates the difficulty a student would have because these sentences are carrying over to the next line, and it's really breaking up what they're going to understand from the reading if that tool doesn't continue over. So it's a tool that may be better used for short lines of text. Students can use it to say a word that maybe they don't understand or a short phrase, but trying to do an entire paragraph, not its strongest suit. And again, if I was a student who was severely visually impaired, then I would have that, and that's better than not being able to see the screen at all. Another idea for you is this dictation tool. I'm going to open a new tab. I'm going to type, and this is a tip to you, docs.new. What this will do is on the fly generate a new document for me. It's not going to file it neatly in my Google Drive. It'll be at the top level, so later on I'll have to remember, go back and make sure I quickly I made a document by typing docs.new. If I need to make a Google Slides presentation, slides.new. If I need to make a Google Sheets, well, you can probably guess where I'm going with this, sheets.new. And I did not have to hand type all of that. I could have even done a dictation. Docs.new. Next line. New line. Slides.new. New line. Sheets.new. Not 100%, right? And we can compare it to what I typed. Of course, what I typed was precise, and it did not hear docs, it heard ducks. And instead of giving it the correct command, I said next line, but the command is new line. And when I did say new line, it did go down and type slides.new, but it's giving me a space. That's understandable. This time it did not detect my new line and carry down. Instead, then I went to sheets.new. It caught that, and again, a space, because it doesn't know, that's not ordinary to be saying dot with the word new all in one line. And I kind of stopped it here. Let's try this with some typical dictation. Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow. Everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. New line. Pretty accurate. It's quiet where I am. Sometimes students are going to need a little space, maybe a microphone. You can get these little sound booths that are basically just 3 sides of a cardboard box, and they kind of slide the Chromebook inside, and that'll help the Chromebook microphone from picking up too much background noise. Of course, student speech is going to be an issue to watch for as well. This can help that child who is petrified looking at the blank page and will get their thoughts and ideas onto the paper. It could also help a poor typer and their keyboarding skills are weak, and this would be a tool to help them as well. Built-in accessibility tool, dictation. Try it and see if it works for you. Chromebook, if you turn that one on, everybody in the room is going to know immediately. And that one is really truly for someone who has no vision and they cannot see anything on the screen. It's going to read everything. It's a little bit extreme. That's why I talked about select to speak, because it's only going to speak what you select. And there is an on-screen keyboard and a zoom and magnify tool as well. I'm not going to show every one of those because I want to show you this, the screenshot tool. Down here in our systems tray, that icon, screen capture, appears. And when I click on it, it's going to bring up the option to take a still photo or a video clip. I'm just going to go for a screenshot, and I can choose to have the in full screen. I can have a section, a partial piece, or I can get the whole window. And here in the gear is where the video can turn on the microphone and do a video screen capture. So I could have my sound, I can narrate. But I'm just going to do a simple section. And this is really handy anytime you're trying, and I'm going to escape this so I can go to a different window. You're trying to grab a portion. You don't want to have to download and save the image and insert it. The screenshot will let you kind of capture only what you need, and it could be a portion of the window. And so let's say I only want this logo. I'm grabbing it and I'm using my drag and drop kind of technique. One finger is holding down for the click. My other finger is sliding to grab a portion. Now in the center of the screen, it says capture. I capture and it goes to my clipboard. I'm going to keep capturing a few more. And there is a keyboard shortcut for this. I'll show you at the end. So let me grab this image. Whoops, and it changed on me. So let me get that one instead. Capture. These are going to start collecting down here in this little tote. The tote will show you all your screen captures. But if you've logged out, if you've gone away, then you're wondering, well, where did they all go? These are all going into your files. And that's why earlier I chose to pin the files. And if you didn't pin files, you'll find that from your launcher in this area, whether it's on page 1 or on page 2 or 3, however many you have, click on files. Some Chromebooks are set, depends on your district, to have your screenshots and your downloads all go directly into your Google Drive. This one is not. It's showing that any screenshot is going into the files that are on this Chromebook. And if I needed to move and work from a different device, whether it's my home PC, Mac, a different Chromebook, I better make sure I take my screenshots with me if I'm not going to work right away. Well, that's where I look down here in this left Google Drive, and I've already made a folder called Screenshots. Now I can start drag and dropping those so I have them whenever I move to a different device. If there's no chance of that ever happening, then don't worry about it. Let them stay on the Chromebook, but they will fill up, and eventually you should clean these screenshots out every so often because it will fill the Chromebook as well as images. So students, as soon as they find out there's a camera, they're going to start taking pictures. Where do they find the camera? They're going to find that same way you would find files, by the launcher, looking for it. It's not on page 1. Oh, there it is, page 2, camera. And why would they need the camera other than to get their lovely face? They might also need to have their work. So if they're holding up their math work, they take a quick photo of it, That way they can turn it into Google Classroom. It's an easy way for you to collect handwritten work remotely, or if a student simply can't get that to you in a timely manner, now they can capture it. Let me look at that image I just took. It is in the files where I was already, and there are some basic image editing tools. Now they can crop it. Maybe they need to straighten it or brighten it, and then they can click done and head off to Google Classroom to attach this. Now again, this file is in this Chromebook. If I'm moving, I take this and I drag and drop it to my screenshots or whatever folder. Maybe I make a folder called photos or camera. And those were launched and found here. Instead of in the downloads where screenshots go, this went to camera. If you open your Chromebook and you come to files and you see everything going straight to your Google Drive, you're lucky. You don't have to do this extra step whatsoever. Chromebooks are often thought of as a device you can only use online. Everything is web-based, but you can use Chromebooks offline as well. In order to be sure you have the files you need when you're working offline, you can come here to Files, and I'm already there. Go to the folder or to the file that you're needing to be offline. And here in Files, I can click on one item and see, is it available? Yes, it is. It's already available offline. And that actually happened because earlier I was at a higher level in my Google Drive. I clicked on that folder, screenshots, and I made the whole folder offline. And that means every item I start dropping in here now will inherit the same setting. I have a few other items offline. And if you're ever uncertain and you want to test this, you can go to My Drive. You can go ahead and look for that same circle. The offline icon is a circle with a check and an underline. When I click this, I'm able to preview my Google Drive as if I was offline. Now, it's not extremely obvious. You have to be sensitive and look at the colors, that the red with the image there with the little mountains, that's a lot dimmer than it normally is. Let me show you here when I turn that off. And of course, no, it changed, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the offline preview. So it's that little icon is much dimmer this time. I'll preview my files in a list instead of thumbnails. If the colors aren't as evident to you, then you can look for the symbols that tell you, all right, these are offline. And my screenshots, I'm not seeing my offline icon this time. So that makes me a little nervous. I'm not sure if I have them offline. I'll go back to my files, and here it is saying it is available offline. Before you would leave school, you would definitely make sure, hey, I need to go ahead and test. So you could switch off your Wi-Fi or go to an area where you know you don't have Wi-Fi access and try clicking those files to be certain that they are available offline. You can still create presentations. You could even draft emails. You can create Google Docs and type. And you would be able to use possibly your dictation tools. Try some of those out when you're offline. And when you have Wi-Fi access again, those will sync back up. The message will send off. The doc will finally appear in your drive if it's something new you created, and it will sync if it was something you worked on and you updated. when you have the wireless access. So let's get back here. We talked about our screenshots and shortcuts. I don't know, I like them. They save me a lot of time, and sometimes the Chromebooks will insist that students must use Control-C and Control-V. And if you want to take a screenshot using a shortcut, that is going to be Control. And they call that Win button at the top with a little square and lines, they call that the Show Windows button. So I can take a screenshot of everything very quickly. And that might be because a website's not loading properly. You want to capture that for a tech request. Or a partial would include the Control, the Shift key, and the Show Windows. And so now I can capture just a portion of a screen very easily if I don't like navigating all the way down and clicking screenshot capture that way. Other popular keyboards are back there, such as opening the last tab, docking a window on the left and the right. Sometimes it's hard for students to take work that they are reading. So let's say they need to read this passage and now they're going to write a summary. And I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Alt left bracket to move that over very neatly. And then here's my document where I need to work. So I'll do Alt right bracket, and I can work on this. I can read, and then I can type my summary. I won't have to flip between the tabs, which can be very distracting and students lose focus. But now I'm sharing the screen with a nice keyboard shortcut, and Alt bracket is the way to do that. Other tips would be to pin a tab. If you're the teacher who's presenting and you get all your windows open and you are afraid of closing any of them by accident, right here, that X, it's way too tempting. You can right click, and remember, right click is 2-finger tap, and you can choose pin. And it's going to slide it all the way to the left. All pin tabs will be to the left. You can shuffle them, but you aren't going to be able to squeeze them in between unpinned tabs. But that's a nice tip. There are other whiteboard applications built in, such as Jamboard, or if you want to be more creative, you have Chrome Canvas, and those are two that are out there for you to try out. Other resources I'm not picking for this, I wanted to give you the highlights, but in the presentation that I'll link in the video description, you'll be able to visit this whole presentation and visit those. There's a great Chromebook training game, and you can try that out. If you have watched this, feel like you're an expert, and want to play this game, it's a whole little world for you to travel through. I was surprised. I found myself really needing to kind of practice myself, and it'll test your Chromebook skills. If you have that expert student out there, send them off to the Chromebook training game. It's a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed this recording, got something new, and can share that and use it in your classes with your students or for your own use. So thanks for listening.